Good day, everyone, and welcome to this special report on the recent Supreme Court verdict regarding Aligarh Muslim University and its significance. This decision has stirred discussion across India, touching on a wide range of issues ranging from constitutional rights, educational policies, minority status, and the future of AMU itself. In this session, we will break down the case, we'll analyze the reactions, explore what this means for both the university and the larger societal landscape. Starting with the background and understanding the issue, the case centers on the contentious question of whether the Aligarh Muslim University is entitled to maintain its minority institution status under the Article 30 of the Indian Constitution. AMU was originally established in 1920 under the Muslim Educational Trust, but in 1981 it was declared a university by an act of the parliament. The dispute centers around whether this change in status alters the university's constitutional protections, which include special provisions for minority institutions. Now, AMU as a university has enjoyed the privileges granted to minority institutions, primarily being allowed to set its own admission standards as well as receive certain financial support. This protection, as per Article 30, allows minorities to run educational institutions of their choice. The debate intensified when certain parties contested that despite being declared a university by an act of the parliament, AMU continued to claim minority status, which could result in unfair advantages in terms of state resources, quota system, and even the recruitment practices. On this issue, the Supreme Court has recently ruled that AMU does not qualify as a minority institution under the provision of Article 30 of the Constitution. The decision comes after a protracted legal battle, which was largely driven by the need to ascertain whether AMU could continue to claim that it caters to the interests of the Muslim community as a minority. This verdict hold significant implications because it impacts the operational autonomy of the institution. This ruling is important because it lays down that AMU cannot claim exemptions that were typically afforded to minority run institutions under the Constitution. For instance, the university can no longer be treated differently in the admission process or in the allocation of government funds specifically aimed at empowering the minority groups. The crux of the Supreme Court's decision lies in interpreting the Constitution and the scope of the term minority institution. Article 30 grants minorities the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice, but this is traditionally seen as applicable to institutions that are primarily aimed at educating people from minority communities. AMU's original foundation under the Muslim Educational Trust was indeed aimed at serving the Muslim community, but the University Act of 1981 placed AMU under a different category. This verdict also references the issue of whether this change affects the university's foundational identity as a Muslim institution. The legal fraternity is divided on whether the verdict places this university in a vulnerable position concerning its ability to retain its character as a Muslim institution. What this verdict essentially means is that the broader legal recognition of AMU as a minority institution under the Constitution could be scrutinized, and that, like other educational institutions, AMU must abide by uniform guidelines irrespective of its founding ethos. The decision has now sparked a wave of reactions across the country. Supporters of the verdict claim it is a necessary step towards ensuring equal treatment for all the universities, irrespective of their historical foundations. They argue that minority institutions should not receive special treatment at the expenses of fairness and equality, especially when the state provides substantial funding to such institutions. However, detractors of the ruling, especially from the Muslim community and academic circles, feel that this verdict undermines the very foundation of AMU as a minority institutions. Many believe that AMU's special status was essential for the continued educational empowerment of the Muslim community, which has historically faced social and educational disadvantages. There are concerns that this judgment might lead to the erosion of the university's distinctive character and its ability to cater specifically to Muslim students. The leadership of AMU has expressed dissatisfaction with the verdict, though it has not immediately resorted to extreme measures like protests. University officials have hinted at potential legal avenues to appeal the ruling. Moreover, AMU students have taken to social media and various forums to voice their concerns, fearing that this decision could hinder their educational opportunities. AMU's Vice Chancellor has promised to work closely with the government to address the university's challenges in light of the verdict, particularly in regard to the university's admission process and future funding. The university may also look at establishing its minority status by other means, such as through specific policies, while ensuring that the broader educational and socio-cultural objectives of the university remain intact. The political response to this verdict has been varied. Political leaders from Muslim communities have voiced strong objections to the decision. They argue that stripping AMU of its minority status is akin to undermining the educational rights of the Muslim community. Several leaders have called for legislative changes that would reinforce AMU's status as a minority institution. On the other hand, leaders from the ruling party have supported the Supreme Court's ruling. They argue that the verdict ensures that no educational institutions, regardless of its founding or management, enjoys the preferential treatment. The ruling is seen as a step towards fostering a more equitable educational system in India. A spokesperson from a ruling party have highlighted that the verdict upholds the principle of equality, a cornerstone of India's democratic structure. One of the most pressing questions arising from this judgment is how it will impact the future of the Muslim educational institution across India. Will other universities and schools founded by the Muslim communities be subject to similar scrutiny in the future? And will the educational needs of the Muslim community be adequately addressed without the special status afforded to institutions like AMU? Experts suggest that this ruling could lead to re-evaluation of the status of all the minority-run institutions in the country. This might bring about more transparency and accountability in the admission and funding that could lead to challenges for institutions that rely on their minority status to attract students from specific communities. The Supreme Court's ruling could have far reaching consequences for AMU and other similar institutions. Moving forward, AMU will have to adopt a more inclusive approach, adhering to the standard educational regulations, particularly in the realm of admissions and funding. For the Indian education system, this case could signal a shift towards a greater uniformity and less differentiation between institutions. While some argue that this will promote fairness, others worry that it may reduce the autonomy of the institutions serving specific communities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has yet to make an official statement regarding the verdict, but the government's stance aligns with the judgment. Given the political context, the ruling party is likely to welcome the rulings, while opposition leaders might raise concern about its potential to marginalize the Muslim community in the educational space. This decision has placed AMU at a crossroads, and its future trajectory is uncertain. While some will set this as an opportunity for AMU to strengthen its educational practices, others worry that it could lead to a diminishing of the university's original mission. Now, the broader question, however, is whether this ruling will create a precedent for other minority run institutions affecting the very nature of India's education system. For now, the focus will be on the university's next step and how India's political and academic communities respond to the implications of this landmark decision. So that was all for today. Thank you for joining us for this in depth analysis. Stay tuned for further updates on this and other issues here. Thank you.